Chapter 8. The Agency Business. As I see it, there are two kinds of advertising agencies. Those run predominantly by one man, surrounded by talented people, and those run by what is commonly known as a plans board. For the fun of it, put down three or more names in each group. Now put down the names of three or more advertisers that, in your mind, have or had the biggest ideas in advertising. When you have finished this, put next to each the name of its advertising agency. The odds are that you'll find these ideas come from the agencies that are run by one man surrounded by big people. For obvious reasons, I am not putting down the agencies in each group for you, nor am I listing the ideas. I leave all that to you if you know anything at all about advertising agencies. A man named Mr. Sheridan, a vice president of Philip Morris and a genial old man, seemed to have nothing to do, so they put him in charge of advertising Marlboro cigarettes. Advertising was more or less new to them then, and they didn't take it too seriously. Mr. Sheridan really didn't care much about advertising. In fact, he rather feared it. When Philip Morris started to grow and he took charge of that part of the business too, he said in all seriousness, "I want to warn you now, Biow will never spend more than $1 million a year. I'll make sure of that." Well, the business grew anyhow, grew bigger than he could really understand, and the budget went far beyond that. He took the growth of the business with good grace, but he never really approved the growth of the advertising investment. As it started to grow, he said to me, "Do you know why we gave you our business? We liked you, of course. We thought you understood our business and could bring us the ideas we needed. But the thing that impressed us most was that you had a small agency, and so you had enough time to take care of our business. We were always afraid of the big ones." "Mr. Sheridan," I said, "you made a hell of a mistake. We might seem small now, but if I have anything to do with it, we're going to be big later." I speak of this because it helps bring out one important point. It's the man that counts, not the size of the agency. The job is in the man, not in the agency itself. There are many men in advertising today who are just as good, or better, than any of those with the Biow company. They are with all kinds of agencies, big and small. The job is to ferret them out, a job but well worth it. Once we had a man in our contact department, a lumbering sort of fellow who seemed to take forever to button things down. His leisurely pace exasperated me. One day I said to our treasurer, "Give that man a raise and send him home. He's worth more to us at home than he is here." I meant it, at least the last half. Slow men pull down the whole agency. They get in the way of doing things. If they haven't got the rhythm of the agency, they belong somewhere else. They stand in everybody's way. Not only those around them, but good men waiting outside who could do the job better and deserve the chance to come in. At the same time, you have to be careful whom you hire and whom you let go. If you have a man you want to fire, be sure you first know his measure. He might go to your competitor. If you really want him out and he might be very valuable to a competitor, shoot him. You'll have less to worry about. If you don't believe that, take a look at McCall's. Good Housekeeping fired Herb Mays because, for whatever reason, they didn't like him, and he went to McCall's. There, he not only set a new pace as a brilliant editor, he's now president. McCall's has become the biggest magazine in its field. In short, what you can do by firing the wrong man is to build yourself a tough competitor. To make an agency work well, it's necessary to give everybody in the agency a specific job, and the responsibility to come through on that job. But there is one thing more, at least as I see it. Each man must also be ready to carry over his ability to other areas of the agency as well. A few years ago, a man came to me for a job. After he had clinched it, he asked, spelling out what I had told him his work would be, "Is this now my responsibility?" "You have your job to do," I said. "The job I just gave you, and then everybody else's." That is what makes an organization work well, when the men feel that everybody's job is their job if they can do it better or help. Does that sound confusing? As though everybody is doing everybody else's job? No. Remember, I said he had his job to do and then everybody else's. The result is not confusion but cohesion. My belief in giving Negroes the business opportunities to which they are entitled is not a matter of tolerance. It's just a better way to do business. It gives you that many more people from whom you can choose the best. Walter White, then Executive Secretary of the NAACP, and I once had a conversation. I told him that I didn't want to hire men and women because they were colored, But neither did I want to exclude them because they were. Send me applicants for jobs, I said, and I'll judge them side by side with applicants of any other color on their merits. Thus we had Negro secretaries, research men, art men, and many others working happily for us, and we were happy. We never had an adverse reaction from clients or other employees. Quite the contrary. We had women too at the Biow company. There again, I like to hire people because of their ability, not because of their color or their religion or their sex. In 1957, President Eisenhower appointed me a member of the President's Committee on Government Employment Policy. The purpose of the committee is best explained by part of a letter that arrived from the President. It is my sincere belief that there is no place in federal employment for discrimination of any kind. It is my intention to make sure to the best of my ability that no discrimination does exist in the employment practices of the federal government. Whenever discriminatory practices are found, it is my desire that they be promptly corrected. It turned out to be a congenial, hard-working committee. We traveled from coast to coast, lecturing and explaining the policy to groups of people working for the government and discussing their problems with them. While the committee was not specifically more interested in Negroes than they were in white people, more colored cases came before us, naturally. We settled them fairly, I think, and accomplished the things for which the committee was appointed. One of the members of the committee was Branch Rickey, a spirited fellow who was as deeply interested in our work as he was in baseball. He brought Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella into the big leagues. Another man, a lawyer and minister from Illinois, was chairman. Riding in the diner of a train one night, he sat next to a woman. She asked the porter to bring her a drink. "Sorry, ma'am," he said, "but I cannot serve drinks while we're passing through this state." Our chairman had been given a complimentary small bottle. Offering it to her, he said, "Please have this one," and she accepted it graciously. Sitting opposite them was a Negro man. "I don't like to see that," the woman said confidentially. "I don't like to see colored people sitting with whites." The chairman, being a gentleman, did not want to make a scene, but there was one thing he did have to say. Just before the woman left the diner, he said, "Madam, before you go, I'd like to say that I've enjoyed your company and—" "Yes," said the woman. "Tell me your name." "My name is Archibald Carey of Chicago, and I am a Negro American," he answered. During this period, I first learned about Wilberforce University in Ohio. This was the first university in the United States to be owned and administered by Negroes, I believe. They worked diligently to raise their educational standards, and they did an outstanding job. In 1958, Wilberforce awarded honorary degrees to Maxwell Rabb, then Secretary to the Cabinet, Dr. Everett Clinchy, then President of the National Conference of Christians and Jews, and to me. I became Dr. Biow, but the doctor doesn't seem to have caught on. Did you ever watch an advertiser looking for a new advertising agency? Generally, he goes about it pretty much like this. He looks over the agencies and selects 2 or 3 that are not working for his competitors. He sends for them. To each one, he tells the story of his business, or some part of the story. Then he asks them to present ideas so he can select what he likes best. He has already forgotten that the agency is supposed to know more about advertising than he does. To quote Albert Lasker, he has become the teacher, and you have become the pupil. From then on, he's off on the wrong foot. No agency eager to get his business dares submit an idea it thinks he may not want, although it might be best for his business. The agency's problem now is not to sell his goods, but to sell itself to him. Wouldn't it be nice for an advertiser to choose an agency on the basis of successes they have built in the past? Wouldn't it be smart if he said, "Here is my business. Here is the amount I have to spend on advertising. Here is what I want to accomplish with it. Are you ready to assume responsibility?" Some time ago, a prospective client was in our office. He spent 2 or 3 days with the different members of our organization. Then came my turn. Now he was going to lunch with me, and I could see by his attitude that he was planning to make me work hard to get his business. It so happened that I had just recently asked our treasurer how much money we made out of $1 million worth of advertising. It rather shocked me when he said that, after taxes, we made 1%. I could hardly believe it. Do I understand that when we increase our billing by $1 million, we increase our capital by only $10,000? "Yes," said Morris Cinnamon. "That's about right." During the luncheon, my guest mentioned to me the number of agencies that wanted his business, and that he was now about to choose one of them. I was ready for him. Do you know how much money we make out of $1 million worth of business? This was about what he had to spend. We make 10,000. Does this agency give you the impression that $10,000 is important one way or the other? By now, you know a good deal about our agency. I hardly need to point out that only if we can see big things ahead for your business, only if we think we can really make it grow, do we want to take the account. Shouldn't you be selling me on wanting it? All I need add is that we did get the business. Hudson Paper. Under the fine management of the company, they have grown enormously. Until today, they hold an important place in the paper industry. I'm pleased that Morris gave me the wrong news at the right time. There are moments of heartbreak in the advertising business. When you have done a good job for a client and helped carry his business to new heights, he may suddenly decide to change. Some whim hits him, and he moves from your agency to another. You stand bewildered, wondering why. Where you expected accolades, you are faced with rejection. Of course, there are other times when you lose clients because you are wrong, or you lose them because you are right and have the courage to stand by your guns. There's an appropriate story about Oscar Hammerstein, a remarkable man who always did things on a grand scale. Time and again, after he'd made millions, he would lose them and begin all over again. Someone asked him, "Oscar, how is it possible for a man to wind up broke so often and still have the confidence to start over again?" "Every morning," he answered. "As I look into the mirror when I shave, I say to myself, 'Oscar, there stands a great man.' Advertising men, follow his example. Polish up your mirrors and practice that line. Maybe it will work for you too when some unpredictable client drops the axe." Some time ago, I finished decorating my townhouse in New York. It had taken a long time. It came out exactly as I had hoped, and I was very proud of it. Having a passion for antiques, I had collected rare old furniture, china, glassware, silver, even doorknobs. And I used them throughout the house. As I was showing my treasures to a dear friend, he said to me, "This is a magnificent home. I've never seen such a fine collection." I looked at him with what I suppose was a twinkle in my eye and said, "This is the one display I have to prove that advertising pays." And I can't resist adding, "It can only pay you if it pays your client." That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check our link in the description, where you'll find many other fundamental marketing books in different languages. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more persuasion and direct response content. See you in the next one.